Harley Quinn first hit the scene back in 1992 as a villain sidekick created for the Joker in the Batman the Animated Series television show. Being a hit, she would go on to appear in Batman's comics, with her first appearance being in the Batman Adventures issue 12 in 1993. Since, she's become one of DC's most beloved female characters, getting her own solo series and a whole lot of character development that's landed her into the anti-hero category these days. She's become separate of the Joker, trading her toxic relationship with him in for a hefty dose of independence and also plant toxins, now that her and Poison Ivy are officially dating. Now, it should be no surprise that fans have long been preoccupied with Harley's love life, thanks to how defining her relationship with the Clown Prince of Crime was. So naturally, over the years, she's often been placed in narratives where there is some sort of romantic spark, all of which have set sail to a whole lot of ships in the Harley fandom. So today, we're counting down our picks for the top 10 weirdest Harley Quinn ships. Note that we'll be leaving out the two biggest and canon ships for Harley, the Joker and Poison Ivy, because also they're not totally weird, although the Joker's is a little bit toxic. But with that in mind, let's jump in. Alright, in number 10, Green Lantern. While Harley has a bit of a sweet tooth when it comes to dating irresistibly mad villains in the DC universe, she's also given superheroes a try too, or at least, made out with one. Once upon a time, Hal Jordan's Green Lantern was briefly the object of her virtuous affections. And at first it kinda seemed like he was not having it, but really he kinda seems like he was, maybe just too embarrassed to admit it. Now in Harley's little black book, which highlights a handful of crazy stories in the DC universe that always result with her crushing on certain DC characters and having fun little romantic interactions with them, she finds herself getting a red and black lantern ring. Green Lantern quickly tries to put a stop to this new power surge of hers, and the two end up arm wrestling each other. They're then interrupted by evil aliens who they team up to fight. When they win, Harley plants a big ol' kiss on Hal's lips, with him seemingly digging it until he's pulled back to reality by Harley grabbing his, what he calls his caboose. He flies away and Harley moves on real quick, realizing that she's hungry instead. So Hal and Harley could be a thing, but could also totally not be a thing. We already know she digs the color green, so. And at number 9, Harleypool. Harleypool is the crossover shipping of Harley and Deadpool, two characters from completely different universes. While the two do technically exist on Earth 7642 together, crossover universe between DC and Marvel, they've never actually technically met. It's a ship that fans of both feel would be a match made in heaven thanks to their personalities, the color coordination, the shared insanity, and the fact that both deep down just want to be loved. Hell, it could totally work. It recently got new wind back in 2016 thanks to a piece of art that Ian Navarro posted online of the two characters sharing a milkshake, while the Joker got dragged away by Batman outside of the diner that they're sitting in. 2016 was a big year for both of the comic book characters, with Deadpool being all the rage thanks to the feature film starring Ryan Reynolds, and Harley getting her own screen adaptation via Margot Robbie in Suicide Squad. Speaking of the mark with a mouth though, our next number was previously DC's attempt at hooking Harley and Wade Wilson up. Sort of, but not really. And at number 8, Red Toole. Red Toole may be a bit of a mystery to some of you. If you've never heard of the character before, he's DC's parody of Deadpool, who technically speaking is a parody of DC's Deathstroke. Oh, comic book rivalries, aren't they great? Red Toole is a fellow named Wayne Wilkins, who Harley develops an infatuation for. When Red Toole, who brandishes a bunch of power tools as weapons, meets Harley, he becomes quickly infatuated himself, to the point where he goes from stalking her to proposing to her. He even sets up a surprise wedding. Harley, on the other hand, isn't nearly as into him as he is into her, which ultimately makes the whole pairing feel like a parody of the Harleypool ship, as if to say it would never actually work out, even if it did happen in either Marvel or DC panels. Although I feel like Marvel would be like more game to try it. In at number 7, Green Arrow. Green Arrow is another character you'd never imagine getting involved with Harley Quinn, but thanks to the Injustice comics, that possibility was waved in front of readers' eyes, and some of them were pretty solid on the pairing. Harley develops a bit of a crush on Green Arrow when he, seeing Harley as a threat, abducts her and takes her back to his base. But surprisingly enough, the two strike up a friendship. Now unfortunately for Harley, he's the one who got away. Green Arrow, despite this being an alternate universe, was dating Black Canary at the time, and, he was committed. And at number 6, the Creeper. Harley and the Creeper are a ship that came out of the new Batman Adventures, spawned in an episode called Beware the Creeper. Long story short, the Joker creates the Creeper by pushing him into the same vat of chemicals that created him. But the Creeper ends up being a mega nuisance, annoying both Harley and the Joker. Harley is straight up turned off by the Creeper's affections, and she ends up trying to off him by dropping a crate on him. The Creeper becomes so much of a problem that the Joker actually begs Batman to arrest him in order to get away. Regardless, Harley wasn't feeling it, but to some this is the start of a long, fascinating romance, going from hate to love. That seems like a healthy way to start a relationship, right? Yay, fiction tropes. Moving on. And at number 5, Wonder Woman. To be fair, we totally understand why this ship is a thing. On a purely shallow front, it's totally great. Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn? Yeah, I'd read a comic perpetuating that ship. Back in the comic series Harley's Little Black Book, which was made up of stories told by Harley as somewhat of an unreliable narrator, Harley reveals that she's a big fan of Diana's, to the point that when she learns Wonder Woman is in danger, she swings by her apartment to protect her. Talk about crushing hard, Harley. Turns out that protecting her, though, as far as Harley is concerned, consists of gassing Wonder Woman, knocking her out, stealing her clothes, and then fighting those who were going after Diana in the first place. Diana wakes up naked in a bathtub, which also seemed a little suspicious, and throws on Harley's remaining clothes to go track her down. As you can imagine, Wonder Woman wasn't overly appreciative of Harley's attempt at chivalry, although Harley was convinced that this would spark a romance between the two. And at number 4, Lobo. Okay, I get it. Shipping Lobo and Harley does kind of make sense, but also it's Lobo and he's gross. Sure, that doesn't mean he's undeserving of love, but just take a look at the two of them in Harley's Little Black Book issue 6. After Lobo saves her from burning alive, the two end up on an isolated island, and get to getting to know each other better while Lobo regenerates. That of course turns into a sexual romp, with the two of them kinda getting into it before realizing that the island isn't all that much of a paradise. There's a giant snake creature who attacks them. Oh, the metaphors. Overall, as fun and twisted as the story was, there's just something really off about putting Lobo and Harley rubbing dirties together. In at number 3, Batman. Hooking up with your arch nemesis's ex is kinda messed up. Unless Bruce is that kind of guy, in which case whatever floats your bat boat, buddy. But in all seriousness, it's no surprise that on multiple occasions we've seen Harley flirt up a storm with the Cape Crusader, and they've even had some almost moments over the years. When you think about it, Batman, the Joker, and Harley Quinn do make for one hell of a love triangle. The Joker is in love with Batman, or at the very least absolutely obsessed. Harley is in love with her puddin', and Batman fits somewhere in between the two to make some sort of absurdist, romantic, dark comedy plotline. Aside from that wishful thinking, there has been times over the years where Batman has developed a soft spot for Harley, including in the episode Harley's Holiday from the Batman animated series, and even in various moments during the Batman and Harley animated feature film, the former resulting in an innocent thank you kiss, and the latter actually forming a much more scandalous ship that we've yet to discuss on our list. But we'll get to that. We got 2 numbers left. And at number 2, Shazam. Now before we dive into this number, quick PSA friends, Shazam is Billy Batson, a boy who shouts the word Shazam and turns into this manly muscular superhero, yet still retains the mind of Billy. Billy is a kid, underage, not legal, which is apparently something that we hope Harley and all of you shippers out there aren't privy to, because yeah, that's kind of weird all things considered. Luckily this ship is based off of one slight interaction that the two had in the Injustice comics, when Harley joins up to help Superman's cause because the Man of Steel straight up murdered the Joker. Hell, why not, right? Anyway, she pays Shazam a visit and is clearly compelled by him, even blowing him a kiss and getting a bit upset when he doesn't catch it, along with a few other flirty moments. When he doesn't give in, she gives up, and eventually the character would be killed off in Injustice Gods Among Us. We're talking Shazam, not Harley. Perhaps for the best in the long run, though, because, you know, he's a kid. No winning for poor Billy there. And finally, in at number 1, Harley Wing. That scandalous ship that we mentioned earlier when we were talking about Batman and Harley? Yeah, it's this one. In the fairly recent Batman and Harley Quinn animated film, there's one point where Harley has kidnapped Dick Grayson's Nightwing, with Nightwing waking up tied to a bed while Harley monologues, and then changes her clothes in front of him. Dick Grayson, being the red-blooded boy that he is, goes from being concerned to being totally into it. Harley then shuts off the lights and gets on top of Grayson in a surprisingly sexy but not quite right scene right before the two hook up. And Batman appears afterwards, puts 2 and 2 together since, you know, world's greatest detective, and seems a little shook by the whole situation. Yeah, Bruce, us too, we feel you there. It's a pairing that we just would have never expected, and one that, despite how utterly absurd it was, we also kinda dig. Mixed feelings. Alright, there we have it friends. Who is your favorite character to ship with Harley? Did we include them on the list? Or do you prefer the Joker or Poison Ivy to all of the characters that we mentioned? Speaking of, if you do want to find out more about the canon relationships that Harley has been involved in, we highly suggest you check out our friend and previous Top 10 Nerd host Sasha's channel, Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. She's a few vids that break down the history of those ships that you'll definitely find interesting. But before you head on over there and say hi to her, be sure to hit that like button here. And if you dug this video, subscribe to Top 10 Nerd for more lists just like this one. We'd love it if you hung out with us some more. Also, self-promotion time. We have an Instagram account that you should give a follow. We'll be using it for giveaways and to post behind the scenes photos and videos, so it's an essential if you're part of the Nerd Squad and want more content. But in the meantime though, thanks for watching friends. I'll catch you all in the next video.